All right, welcome everyone to the fourth and final class of this month's series about mindfulness. Just as a quick reminder, we do have all the recordings posted on Absorb for credit. So if you missed a class or two, go on to Absorb, go on to Journey to Wellness, and then from there you can select the recorded webinar. So it will have that purple icon with a little purple arrow. So it'll look a little bit different than the main class, but make sure to check out any classes you've missed. And with that, I'm going to hand it on over to Dave.
Well, hello. It's so nice to be back with you guys. Now that we're recording, I want to make sure that I say that I could see Victor working really hard, before, sweating. So, we just wanted this to be recorded that he was working. So. Anybody else want to be recorded as was working incredibly hard? So, I looked at what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks. And, we started off really talking about how much our minds think and how complicated it can get. But then we also talked about the fact that between thinking about things going on in the future and thinking about things going in the past, is this thing called the present moment, which is always available. A little hard to access once in a while, as we've discovered. But I talked about being friendly to yourself. And we talked about how the family dog greets you. And then we introduced that same practice that every time you notice you're thinking during our little practice session today, that you notice you're thinking and you actually say thinking, oh, thinking. But then there's this other step of being friendly, of greeting yourself exactly like your dog does, even to the point of, giving yourself a scratch behind the ear. There should be almost a celebration that one has developed some skills to notice that you're thinking so much that you don't even know you're thinking so much. We talked about, talked a little bit about how my grandmother, when I would get upset, she'd say, Dave, count to 10. And in the very act of placing my mind not on the object of why I'm frustrated, but placing my mind on counting to 10, that is just enough to change the chemistry of my whole system to bring it down. I use that technique today. We'll actually introduce that a little bit as a meditation technique. And then, I work with my grandfather with tools. And so he actually taught me how to use tools, and he was a carpenter. But when you're small and you're young, things don't always work out, and all of a sudden that frustration gets up and you're about to take that tool and throw it across the room. And then my mind, I now have little things that I say like, I hate drywall repair. And the second I say I hate drywall repair, I put the tool down so I don't throw it and smile a bit and let myself cool down. We talked about MSUU, which, because I'm recording or being recorded, that's Make Stuff Up University, but it obviously has another acronym that you could do. And we talked about how we found out we're kind of all enrolled. I make stuff up all the time. Take a look at the driver that just cut in front of me. And the next thing you know, I'm making stuff up like you can't believe. And the joy of this simplicity class is you start to realize that you're doing that you're actually making stuff up. I had a friend, Martha. She passed away recently. I would, if I was in person, I'd hand out all these little cards that she kept saying things like, it's not about me. And I never quite got it for the first year or so, because she'd always kind of laugh when she said it. But then I started to look at the depth of what those simple words meant. It's not about me. And went so far as to we actually had cards made up, little cards, and we gave them out to everybody. And people said they were taping them to the dashboard of their car. And so when someone cut in front, instead of getting angry and flipping them the bird and doing all the other stuff that was more habitual in nature, you just simply said, it's not about me. We have no idea why they're driving that way. We have, that's we just make stuff up. But if we say it's not about me, we instantly simplify our lives. We don't have to sit there and feel that familiar juice of anger and frustration and righteousness and all the, it literally is a drug that comes bubbling up through us. And so these are techniques that we've been working with over the last 3 weeks. Is that how do we work with it? And then the most important piece that we introduced is that, if we're all enrolled at MSUU, then the favorite part of school was recess. I loved recess. I couldn't believe it when I got to 6th grade and found out they didn't have recess. It was a huge disappointment. Things went downhill for me in school after that, for sure. But this ability to, and we're going to practice as we always do every time we've done this. The first time we practiced, I rang the bell for recess and we practiced for 2 minutes. And the instructions are very simple. You're sitting there. As soon as you notice you're thinking, you say thinking, and you come back and you place your mind back on the sensations of the body breathing. And what we're doing here is we're synchronizing our mind and our body again. When we're just thinking about stuff, that's what we're doing. We're just thinking about stuff. It's almost like we don't even include our body in the process. But when you sit there and notice your thinking and you bring it back and place your mind on the sensations of this physical body breathing, you have synchronized your mind and body. You're now actually working with this thing called the present moment again. And this is accessible to us. Well, it's always now, so it's always accessible to us. And so it's kind of the gateway that we've been working with. So the first time I rang the bell for recess, we practiced for 2 minutes, and I asked people what they thought, and I'm not sure who all said it, but I couldn't believe how many thoughts that they could have in 2 minutes. I thought this was supposed to help, but it went the other way. My mind was going 1,000,000 miles an hour. And so then we're sitting there working with, we just keep coming back. And we talked about a little bit about a merry-go-round, that when you are on one of those merry-go-rounds and you have to slow it down, you don't just grab the merry-go-round and wing you off into a field. You just kind of tap it. You just kind of tap those bars as the merry-go-round's going around, and bit by bit, you can slow it down. You can actually very slowly get that thing to come to a halt. And that's a little bit what this practice is all about. We're just noticing the activity of our mind. The more difficult part of this practice is we tend to judge ourselves for it. We tend to say that I'm a terrible meditator. I shouldn't be doing this stuff. I can't sit for 2 minutes, and that's why the analogy of the dog, when you notice you're thinking and you're friendly, it'll come back. But if every time we come back to the sensation of the body breathing, you give yourself a little pop in the head and say, I'm a terrible meditator. God, I can't do this for 3 breaths. And then you sit there and you do this, you're not going to enjoy the process. So how do you sit there and flip that to just appreciation? And that's what we've been doing. So I'm going to ring the gong again. I'm going to ring the bell for recess. I wanted to leave a little time for people to talk to me about their experience when you give yourself a little break for the next, 9, maybe 10 minutes. Every week we've gone a little further. It was 2 minutes, then I ran at 5 minutes, and then last week we ran at 10 minutes. And this should really be a break in your day. I literally saw Victor working, and all of you, anybody had the camera on, you're working. You're very busy with your jobs. But for the next 10 minutes, we're going to get a little break. We're going to actually, I want you to really just be nice to yourself. And when people come up to you and start talking to you during meditation, just smile and acknowledge them, and then you can always go back. So here's the bell. I'm going to be very careful on our time, and then we will be able to talk about a little bit, what are some of the obstacles to practice? What are some of the things that make it difficult? So, all right, so take a comfortable seat. Put yourself in your feet on the floor. You can do this practice with your eyes open or your eyes closed. I have preferred over the years to keep my eyes open with a soft gaze. I'm not looking at anything, but I'm not doing this practice to close everything out. I'm actually sitting there doing this practice to open myself up to the present moment exactly as it is. So you can, but at the same time, it might be easier for you to do it with your eyes closed. That helps. So I'll be back in 10 minutes. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your good practice. And that's the last time I'll be ringing the bell for you for recess. But I wanted to say that I ring the bell for recess quite often for myself. I've found that 5-10 minutes in the morning is really helpful. That I do this, I wake up from my, from being asleep, and I don't know what I'm dreaming, but there's very definitely a flavor to it. And so I find it really helpful to just sit down for 10 minutes, get a cup of coffee, sit down, I literally ring a gong, and just relax for a bit. And within 10 minutes, I've usually settled down. Sometimes I go longer, but for the most part, I'm like you guys, I have usually a busy day planned. But I want to know, what have you picked up from this class? Do you see things that might make your life simpler? And I don't have a lot of cameras on, but I love it when there's a camera on, so I can look at Claudia and go, hey, Claudia, what did you pick up on over the last, if you've been to these classes?
I think, sorry, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think a lot of it is like, a lot of things that I've noticed is like my mind's always constantly going as a mother, and, as just, especially like right now, I know you were talking, but I can multitask, so I can listen to you and do emails at the same time. But I think a lot of it is like, especially like the 10-minute thing that we do, I find that helpful because I realize like I am constantly on the go, and like stopping and thinking, okay, I just need these 10 minutes and I'm going to take it. And I know I've been doing better, I want to say, because in the beginning I was like, I can't do that. Like, no, you can't ask me to step away right now. But now, as of like today, I was just like, no, I can do this. So yeah, I think it's a good class because it makes you realize about yourself of like, okay, I have not taken a break. I have not been able to stop myself. And it's made me realize a lot of things about myself throughout the process.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Well, you just summed it up beautifully for what we do. And if I could have a wish for all of you, you become your own meditation instructor. That you make such good friends with yourself. You're a whack job. You know how busy you are. You know when you're doing this stuff. You know when you've got kids and everything else. That you can simply smile and come back, and never. That one of the things, the hardest part of this is just being friendly to yourself, accepting all the things. You're a mother. You're working and this and that. Yes, you have a very busy life. But you really do deserve to be able to bring it down a little bit. And I certainly am more helpful when I do a little break in the action 2 or 3 times. Just before I came, we had to put my father-in-law in skilled nursing. And it's heartbreaking. And so before we came on today, I just sat there and felt the sadness, the whole this, there's no sensation or feeling that you can't find out is workable, but you don't necessarily have to jump into the stories past the feeling. So thank you for your share. And then Victor, you've been on every class. What were your thoughts here?
One thing I noticed that in reality that you brought to light is that life will continue, which is fine, but it doesn't hurt if you take that little bit of time for yourself it does not really take away anything that you do. All it does is just help you. Really, it does.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is necessary. Life will go ahead and continue. You can go your 190 miles an hour. It's going to keep going.
Yeah.
Even if you take your time off or you don't take that time off, but life will be a little more relaxing if you do. You really do.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't do that. Right now, a moment ago, I was meditating and I wasn't moving. My coworker yelled at me, "Vic, are you okay?" Dude, I'm just meditating. Give me a break. He interrupted my whole time, man. He just killed it.
That's great.
You know, so you do try, maybe you just have to find different ways or let other people know around you. But
Yeah.
you know what? It's really something that life, it just gives you a better outlook once you go ahead and get done. It's like recharging your battery.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
It
great.
really is. So yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. I'm gonna just now. I got permission to go 2 minutes more. So Christina, what happened for you over these last 4 weeks?
I think that I learned techniques that I can continue to take with me beyond these courses, and just that reminder that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to pause. Even in the midst of the busiest of busy days, you need to be able to do that for yourself to be able to get through, all the challenges that life throws at you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I had the thought that I was going to be demonstrating to all of you how to fall asleep in the middle of meditation at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so, yeah, I did. That was good. But yeah, Christina, thank you. All right. Well, does anybody else want to jump in? I see Glenda, Nina, Virginia, I see a number of names. Anybody else want to just jump in with what was helpful about the last 4 weeks? All right. Well, I'm reading a couple of the chats, but this is where I'm going to turn it over to our main facilitator that has invited me now to come along to do these things. This is just, I have to admit, I've been really looking forward to Thursdays through July. This is just a nice group of human beings to get simple with. So thank all of you, and I'm turning it over to Jesse.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I will be sending out a survey after today once I mark attendance. Please give your feedback on the whole class, this class, all of it, what you want to see in the future in terms of mindfulness and meditation, and some other suggestions. Because if we get a lot of people saying, please bring this back, maybe we'll try to set up something else this year, if not for sure next year. So with that, Dave, I want to say thank you so much, and we will meet again soon.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jesse.